everyone. I am Anushka Chatterjee, a sophomore from the Department of Chemical Engineering and a senior reporter at Awaaz IIT Kharagpur. From the Awaaz community, we are reaching out to KGP alumni pursuing their careers in the not so conventional fields and covering their stories in our Offbeat Career series to promote the pursuing of such interests in the KGP community. And today we have with us Samarth Mahajan. Hello, Samarth. I extend a very warm welcome to you from the entire community of Awas. I would first like to start by thanking you for taking out your time for this session. We would like to know more about your journey in the filmmaking, and we'll have a candid chat about it. But before that, it would be great if you can tell us something about yourself.
So, hi Anushka, really glad to be here. Thank you, Awaz, and thank you, Kharagpur. This is another opportunity to talk to all of you, and I love interacting, although it's been almost 7 years since I graduated. But I've been lucky to, come back to the campus again and again in different ways, and this time it's an online avatar. So, to give you a brief about myself, I come from this town in Dinanagar called Dinanagar in Punjab. Uh, studied for JEE preparation in Chandigarh, came to Kharagpur. I was enrolled in the dual degree program of mechanical engineering. I spent 4 years of my stay at MS Hall, Meghna Saha Hall of Residence, which was fairly young back then. I'm sure it's fairly young even now compared to the older halls. And I had a very simple, straightforward stay at Kharagpur. Job was the thing. So job के लिए बहुत preparation किया. Everything which sort of gets you bragging rights on Facebook. I did all of that. I got an internship in third year. Wanted to do a foreign training in fourth year. Got a PPO. Got some award from Gymkhana. Got some award from Hall. So had a very conventional, and I was in Atri, 8.5. So everything was sorted. Graduated with a job at a great FMCG company. But right after, I think when I started working, within 9 months, I felt like a bit misfit. So wanted to shift my career. Luckily, I had people who were sort of, one of my friends from Chandigarh was a Miss India. So I was like, oh, she's modeling. So, she can help me out. I used to do like small 1 minute ad films. Ad design, we have this competition ad design. So I used to participate in it very diligently. So when I wanted to quit, I was just thinking about what to do. So filmmaking is what made sense to me then, and this Miss India friend became a bridge. So nothing happened like that. That Miss India friend told me that okay, I'll introduce you to a lot of people in Bollywood. But somehow I ended up meeting another KGPN whose name is Ashay Gangwar, who also graduated in 2014. And we started on this very interesting journey, which is still ongoing. We've created a lot of work together. He's produced a lot of my films. I've directed them. Uh, One of them is called The Unreserved, which was about traveling in general dabbas and talking to people. It won a national award in 2018, and we also screened it for Kharagpur, which was one of the most beautiful moments in all my screening experiences. And yeah, currently just finished this film called Borderlands. It's a film about traveling to different border areas, talking to people. It's already screened across 5 different continents. It's coming to India next month. I'm very excited about it. And yeah, it also went to the Cannes film market, where Aishwarya Rai usually goes in very good clothes. Documentary filmmakers also go there, but we don't get the same hype. But yes, we were there. So this is briefly about me. There's more, but I would love to like.
Yeah. That was a like amazing, your entire life cast in a nutshell, I would say. And with the wonderful work you have done overall, and definitely we will now urge you to answer a few of our questions related to your career so that we can delve deeper into your this journey and we can also understand what all you have been doing throughout these years. So shall we begin?
Sure. Please.
Cool. Okay then. So our first question to you is that at what point in your life did you realize that you want to venture out on some journey that is not very common among IITians? Were you interested in filmmaking like from the very beginning, or it happened as in like throughout the flow?
Right. So I think my first experience in filmmaking, like I said, was Kharagpur's ad design competition. And as older halls still have some budget. MS was pretty basic then, and I'm not sure how the scene is now. But we used to have almost no budget. So we were making ad films or these 1 minute videos at almost zero budget. And there wasn't really a hall culture, so to say. So I found it interesting as an individual to sort of take a lead then that okay, let's create this hall culture. Everyone keeps on talking about this hall culture. We don't have it. Let's create it. And we started doing these ad films, and we made this very simple kind of videos of obviously you see it all the time. All the halls participate in that event. So we created something and we won a medal also, which was I think MS first medal in many years. So it was very exciting. The experience of it was very exciting. I even when I got a job placement, in our orientation they asked us to remember some moment from college. So I remembered the moment of just creating that video. It involved a candle, and I had somehow almost burnt my hair. So it was very exciting overall. And so that was my only experience with filmmaking. I wasn't very serious about it. There was PFPS, the Filmmaking Society, but I wasn't part of it. Neither did I imagine being a part of it. I was pretty focused on getting a job. I was part of the robotics club and participating in a lot of inter-hall competitions otherwise. So I think only when I started working is when I realized that okay, I'm not cut out for the corporate culture, which is something that a lot of people are comfortable with. But I was just feeling out of place with the hierarchy, with a lot of focus on presentations, and lot of almost sometimes bordering on changing the scale of the y-axis to show that okay, the impact is much more than what it is. So, and Calcutta is a very interesting place, right? Many of you are from Calcutta. You are from Calcutta. So Calcutta is full of life. So I started noticing every time I'm out of office is when I'm actually happy. So there was this deep disconnect that okay, I'm not happy, and filmmaking came out of that search for happiness. It was not like filmmaking first and then just shifting to filmmaking. It was more like okay, I don't want to do this. What else can I do? So when I reflected back, okay, that ad design experience made sense. And like I said, I connected dots. Okay, do I have a friend who can introduce me in Bombay? So that is where the friend came in. And luckily, a lot of KGPNs helped me out at that point because I just chose to all of a sudden quit, pack my bags, and go to Bombay. So I texted one of my favorite seniors who was very close to me that okay, I'm coming to Bombay. You'll have to give me roof, and he was very happy to give that. And like I said, I ended up collaborating with Ashay. Ashay already was doing films, but he was interested in the business of films. So somehow we connected, we bonded in this very random small bar kind of a thing where we had like one glass of beer. We were like, okay, let's do this together. Let's collaborate. So that's how the filmmaking journey started. But like I said, it was more like, okay, I'm giving myself 6 months. If this works out, great. Otherwise, I'll either explore education or I had some startup idea in edtech, or I would like probably join a different company or become a tuition teacher. All of those options were there. Only because our film started working well did I stay with filmmaking. Okay. So yeah, that is pretty much it.
Yeah, I'm sure, like, many students even now can relate to whatever you have felt or whatever you have gone through getting into a college with, there's so much focus towards career, getting a job, and after that, maybe falling a bit out of it, and then ultimately following what your heart wishes to. And I really think that a lot of people, after seeing you, will feel inspired that, yes, we can also do the same thing. And thank you for like inspiring so many of our KGP students at present. But at the like as you said that you felt a bit misfit in your job, but still quitting your job to pursue a career in such an unconventional field where the success is not too assured, especially for an outsider, is often a very tough decision, mainly due to financial or any other constraints. So what made you that confident that yes, filmmaking is something which you were made for, and what gave you the push to actually take this decision of yours?
Right, right. So I think it's very important to understand one's privileges. When I came from this town, Dinanagar is very small, like the diameter is 2 kilometers. So, we walk 2.2 inside campus. That's bigger than my town. And, when I used to think we're very poor, when I was preparing for JEE, when I came to college, I used to think, okay, we need to make it big. I'm a small town boy. And I the funny thing was when I got my first salary, I called my father and said, okay, now I'm ready to contribute to the household. And my father said that, you don't need to do that because I don't need your money. So I think that was a big reality check in a certain way that, this whole idea of privilege, it comes from many places, to some people, it will come from their gender, their, you know, nationality, like for example, in today's world, an American is much more privileged than an average Indian, right? So things like that, I think I became very clear that okay, my family is actually pretty well off, and all of this money is mine. Now, the motive to earn, one of the motives sort of went away, and that was a big motive, right? So it just increased my risk taking appetite, I think. And the other thing that, being from an IIT, I think it's a big privilege. We don't understand it because, we only study at an IIT, right? We don't go to other colleges. But when you are from an IIT, I think the brand itself carries so much weight that I was sure that even if I did not succeed, like for example, 6 months, 12 months, I tried it out, it didn't work, I would still get a job. It may not be the same amount of money as, say, people who graduated with me, but I think what is the point? Like, if my batchmates are earning 25 lakhs per annum, I'll earn 20 lakhs per annum. I think we get into this very petty competition with respect to money. Most of India does not even earn 6 lakhs per annum. So I think I was, maybe because I have an uncle and aunt. They, my uncle, my chachu, he's someone who actually quit his IIM Ahmedabad job at some point and he became a full time singer. So he also gave me a lot of courage. So my chachu and chachi run this not for profit called Loknath, and they sing people's songs. They sung the official Right to Information song, for example. They are like, there are chapters about them in NCRT books. So I think they were also very inspiring. So I had all these things happening around me where I was becoming aware of my privilege. I had a role model in a certain way, and I had the whole IIT tag to, failure is very relative, is what I usually tell. And I'm glad you're talking about inspiration, but I think many times people just bog themselves down thinking that, if my batchmate is earning 20 lakhs, I can't earn 18 lakhs. And I think that to me is very petty. And the idea of failure is in India is very much dissuaded. Like, your parents can't see you fail. And we are also not taught how to fail. Na? We are all achievers. We were all toppers in school. Then we came to IIT. And I think IIT gives everyone a reality check that, even within amongst the toppers, there's a hierarchy. But, there's so much pressure, like day one, day two. And I have been part of that race. I am someone who actually luckily escaped that because I got a PPO. But I would have been that person, vying for a day one job. Obviously, I was very competitive. I'm still very competitive. But I think it was these things, like three main things which I told you, that allowed me to sit back and think, okay, Samarth, you can take this 6 months and throw a dart in the dark. I wouldn't say it was very thought out or very planned. I was living one day at a time. Uh, but that's how it is. Luckily it worked out. It worked out also because I was consciously trying to meet new people and learn. Uh, Luckily we collaborated with the right people. I didn't have a film education, right? So I found an editor who's from the FTI. FTI is like the IIT of film education, Film and Television Institute of India. It's in Pune. And in fact, now we also have a Kharagpur alumni from last year sitting in FTI. So hopefully, we get more directors from Kharagpur. But I worked with an editor from FTI. He became like my mentor. So he taught me. So I think all those experiences made it easy for me to transition. So that is there.
That, a few things which you said, like, coming into that rat race, and that the concept of failure in India, that is so that's so petty and all, that makes so much sense. And that is like everybody of us present here, or the ones who will be seeing this interview, will definitely can relate to. And that's a great message to pass to, that what we ultimately need is to find the happiness from within ourselves, and not just getting into this, he's earning 20 lakhs, I'm earning 25 lakhs, and nothing of that sort. And also, as you said, like, your role models have inspired you, and now it is a great thing. And I'm very proud to say that now you have become a role model, and many of the people will be saying that yes, we have seen Samarth Mahajan as our role model, and we have followed this path. But Samarth, already, as you said, that you have these privileges, or you have identified you this strong passion. But we all know that life is not a bed of roses, and it has definitely not been for you. So what are the struggles, or what are the obstructions which you have faced in your initial journey of in this film industry?
Right, right. So one thing I'll just add to the previous question, definitely, I think like privilege is what I talked about, right? Everyone doesn't have it. So many times people will find it difficult to pursue their passions. And, for them, it may be very important to be part of this race. So if, anyone's listening, I just want you to know that, there's no set path to happiness. It's very personal. So you need to personally define that happiness. I think in terms of struggle, I think the first struggle was just coming down to Bombay and realizing my monthly salary is now 2,000 rupees. I think that was crazy because, I think that the first 2, 3 months I was only earning 2,000 rupees a month, which is like a crazy amount, right? Because you don't imagine that ever happening, right? You don't want that happening ever. I think an average IITian will not be happy if they were earning 2,000 rupees a day. To a day also it seems so less. So that was, I think, the shock because, this industry works slightly differently, especially when you are a newcomer and, not working in, like, you're not related to someone and you're starting from the real bottom rung. And I started out as a second assistant director. So that, to me, I think, was the hardest part. I think what helped me again was this the fact that it just happened very initially. Like, as soon as I landed in Bombay, this is what I was presented with. I met a director through my friend, and he said, "Okay, I'll give you this second assistant director role, but these are the terms." I was like, "Okay, this is the first gig that I'm doing. Let's do it. Let's see where it goes." Because I had nothing else to do in Bombay. I was going to Hoppy-Pola and Powai and drinking with my friends anyhow. So I was like, "Okay, let's skip all that. Let's first focus on what can be done in terms of career." So I took that risk, and I think it was lovely just being on a Bollywood set for 4 days. Within 4 days, I decided, okay, this is not my cup of tea. And if that didn't happen, I met some very interesting people there. I'm still in touch with them. They gave me very good advice in the beginning itself. Like, they told me that, if this is how you're going to go with your career, 8 to 9 years, you'll just be doing this. You'll just be assisting people and, roaming around with scripts. You'll not be able to make your films, which was a very important advice in the beginning itself. So I think that was one of the biggest struggles. The second thing is just to be sure you want to make films. I think I have many times struggled with the idea of, in spite of making films, after every film you feel like this is too much, this is too difficult. So I in fact studied at Ashoka University. There's this university in Sonepat. They have this 1 year program called the Young India Fellowship. So a lot of KGP graduates over time have come there, studied there. So in fact, I actively tried to, stop making films and shift to academia. I was like, okay, maybe I'll do a master's or PhD in sociology or anthropology, like leave filmmaking for good, because sometimes it's just so much of expression and so much pain. And I'm like, क्यों इतना दर्द चाहिए life में? Let's just become a professor and sit in AC offices again. But there's a certain addictiveness to the process also, because you get to travel, you get to talk so much. I have friends who I collaborate with during this work. And if all of this comes together, and then just to see it on a big screen with 1,000 people, that's an experience which can't be explained. It really touches you that you are being able to affect other people's emotions and thoughts. So I've been at it, like, somehow by chance. Every time I've tried to quit it, something or the other has brought me back to filmmaking. So it's been what, 6 years, and it's happening abhi tak hue ja raha hai. But I think that self doubt is something which every artist or someone who's not in a conventional career faces, and that's completely all right. Everyone doesn't have everything figured out. I've been, to be honest, I've been given some awards which people take a lot of years to get those awards, but those awards don't help with that self doubt. It's a very personal battle which everyone is fighting with themselves. So it's important to contain that anxiety and do something with it. Not easy, easier said than done, but that's how I've learned to process it. Many times I'm just bubbling like a volcano, but luckily it just stays in. That is a reality. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously that's a great lesson to learn, that no matter how many obstacles be in your way, that you must always keep going and be very sure of what you actually want to do, and just give your 100% in that. So we know that it's definitely your hard work and never give up attitude that has actually taken you to this success today. But there must have been some other factors as well which had helped you reshape your career. On that note, I want to ask you that what role has IIT Kharagpur particularly played in making you the person you are today?
I think two, three major things. I think if it was not for IIT Kharagpur, I would never have made any film. Like, even that 1 minute ad film, it had a profound impact on me. And just to have that opportunity, that I think one of the opportunities that so many extracurricular activities.
Mhm.
Because I think after my second or third year itself, I realized that I am not really a mechanical engineer. Like, मेरे को डिग्री मिलने वाली है, but मैं हूँ नहीं, mentally नहीं हूँ, philosophically नहीं हूँ, किसी भी लेवल पे मैं हूँ नहीं मैकेनिकल इंजीनियर. And the opportunity to just participate in so many events, inter-hall activities, societies, that really helped me become a person who's open to one new experiences, second comfortable dealing with complexities of many kinds, planning. We used to do this robotics event in Kshitij, and there used to be so much communication around it, team management. So one thing I keep on saying, I still don't know how to shoot. Like, I don't know how to use a camera. I don't edit. I direct films, but someone else shoots for me, someone else edits for me. And what I call my role is basically of creative management, right? And that management aspect, I think Kharagpur teaches you very well, especially if you get involved with any kind of team activity. Some of you are third years, and I'm sure, like even from the second year onwards, you start managing the first years, and third years usually, are the ones who have the most amount of headache managing the whole team. That kind of experience, even through a society like robotics or inter-hall events, through Meghna Saha Hall, really exposed me to the idea that you don't need to have all the skills. You can find people who are very good at something and then bring them together to create something bigger. And that, I think, again, like, if it was not a campus like Kharagpur, you wouldn't have the opportunity to do so much extracurriculars. I think the third major point is after graduating also how much support I've received from Kharagpur. One of my seniors, he gave me chat when I shifted to Bombay, which was like a very dramatic moment in my life, and he was ready to house me. Ashay is from Kharagpur. He's been a total collaborator for the last 6 years. He produced Unreserved. He's a co-producer on Borderlands. So he's produced a lot of my work, and we crowdfunded 3 years ago. So a lot of our we crowdfunded about 30 lakh rupees in 40 days, which was one of the biggest crowdfunding campaign in Indian film history. So we had 550 contributors, and I think around 100 to 150 of them were uh, Kharagpur people. And one of the contributors was a Kharagpur alumni from 1981, who I didn't even know. Like, he just read some news and he was so happy that, okay, some Kharagpur graduate is making this film. He contributed and just messaged me, okay, I've contributed, all the best. So that kind of support, I think, was unparalleled. So in many ways, Kharagpur is something that is just inherently part of my journey.
Yeah, we now being the students, we also can completely understand, the senior junior bond, especially which you talked about, or how has this, the management skills which it has taught, because we are also now going through that stage right now. So
Mhm.
that's really good to hear that that helps you so much in your life, even at a later stage or at any stage when you are. So, like as you mentioned that like when you were in Kharagpur, you were mostly into making this. You have made this ad films and you had this experience of that, and after that you have worked as an assistant director and all. But like finally, shifting to make films in the genre of highlighting non-mainstream Indian life. So what did that give you the inspiration to take up this kind of a topic, which is not very much common with the Indian audience?
Right, right. So there are two aspects to it. Like I said, Ashay and I decided to collaborate. So Ashay's focus at that point was non-fiction, and he knew how to shoot. Like, he was a cinematographer. So for me, it was more like, okay, I didn't have a preference for fiction or non-fiction. I was already assisting on a Bollywood set, which I wasn't really enjoying. So I said, let's give it a chance, because I wasn't even a person who watched a lot of documentaries. So I think because I think Ashay was excited about non-fiction, I was like, let's try it. But I think once I started doing it, I found my own reasons for being connected to it. I think I'm extremely extrovertish. There's something called MBTI, Myers-Briggs personality test. And I think they mark you on extroversion. So I'm 30 on 30. So I think the kind of films I do, I go out and I talk to people. In Unreserved, we were traveling for 17 days. I think I interviewed 120 people in 17 days. So the kind of high I got, the kind of excitement I experienced in that period was unparalleled. So for me, my films became a lot about traveling, conversing with people. I love talking, and over time, my films have become more personal. Like, initially, the reason may be just that I want to become a filmmaker, but once you make one film, what is the motivation for second film? So I had gone through this major crisis, and like I said many times, I've felt like I'll leave filmmaking. This is not something for me. It's nerve wracking. But I think at some point I realized that I care about certain things. Like in my recent film I shot with my mother, for example. It's a 70-minute film and 13 minutes of it is my mother. And recently, it's screening in UK at some festival, and they released a trailer. And my mother is the only Asian lady in that trailer. So it caused a lot of excitement in my family. My mother's very happy. I get to express about things I care about. I care about, maybe because of my cosmopolitan childhood. I've stayed in a lot of places and, born and brought up in Punjab, studied in Kharagpur, went to Chandigarh, worked in many places. I'm deeply obsessed with India and diversity. So throughout my films, I also explored the idea of India diversity in different ways. Maybe through general dabbas, maybe through borders. So I think that those have become real motivations. That one, I can talk about those things. Things non-fiction allows me to that way interact with reality. Uh, and I think I'm slightly egoistic. If you're a fiction filmmaker, you have to handle actors' egos, right? As a non-fiction filmmaker, everyone's handling my ego. So I think that also allows me to sort of just do what I want to do in the best way possible. So there are many reasons why I think non-fiction appeals to me. It's budding in India, right? There's more space. Like maybe at some point I'll try fiction, but I think non-fiction is easier to get into. I don't know how many of you know, but a lot of Bollywood filmmakers have started out as non-fiction filmmakers. Like Kabir Khan, who directed Bajrangi Bhaijaan, Tiger Zinda Hai. He was a documentary filmmaker at some point. So I also feel like you know because it's easier to make. A Bollywood film may take 20 crores, but a good non-fiction film can be made from anywhere between 10 to 30 lakh rupees. It's just something which is more approachable for people who just start out their careers in films in general. Yeah, infinite reasons to like do non-fiction.
Yeah. Obviously, yes. So, like, with all your motivations that you have gathered throughout your life, as you mentioned, and now you're doing a superb job in propagating these ideas through your films, and they are also being liked and appreciated by a lot of people. And one among them has also won a national award, the Unreserved, with its portrayal of real life issues of passengers all over India, has touched the hearts of many people. So please share with us your experience and your inspiration of directing this particular film.
Right, right. So there are many motivations. Now, what happens is I really believe in this idea that most of the times we're trying out different things, but if things fall into place, we create a story out of it. Right? Some of you will apply to MBA colleges and you'll get to experience this firsthand when you're writing your SOPs because you'll create brilliant stories about how you always wanted to do this one particular MBA from this program. So take this whole narrative with a pinch of salt because it's all hindsight. But I think two, three of the major motivations, one of them was definitely this idea that okay, I'll get to experience real India. I've been very sheltered. A lot of us never left our homes till plus two, right? We were all like in our homes studying very well. And even in Kharagpur, you don't meet a variety of people. We're all engineers, right? So for me, I think it became interesting that okay, one, I'll get to travel and see the real India, which I've never engaged with, because even from Kharagpur to Calcutta, we do travel in the local, but how much do we interact with people? It's mostly just to looking forward to like a party in Calcutta, right? So that was I think exciting. The second thing is I came across this essay by Gandhi. So Gandhi had written this essay called Third Class Travel in Indian Railways or something like that. And he had written it in 1917. And even after 100 years, I was reading it in 2016, obviously. 99 years afterwards, also, what he wrote seemed like perfectly apt for what is happening now. So I was like, okay, Gandhi wrote about something, it must be important. I should also think about it. Maybe we should focus on the general dabba. So that became another important reason to focus on general dabbas only. Otherwise, we were planning a film across the classes, but we thought, okay, general dabba will be raw. People will open up, and which was also based on experience. Like whenever you travel in third AC or second AC, people usually have their earphones plugged, and no one wants to talk. Okay, general dabba might be interesting. Experience was exhilarating to say the least. I was deeply resonant, happy while doing it. My cinematographer started tweeting, in the style of Humans of New York, Humans of Bombay, and all those, we would click a photo and just summarize the interview and post it on Twitter. So his tweets went viral. So we got a lot of coverage in Scoop Woo, BuzzFeed, all a lot of media channels. So we almost felt like celebrities for that week also. And I was enjoying it so much that my throat got choked. We were eating only oily food, and I think day 13 or day 14 I blacked out. Like because I wasn't being able to eat anything, I was so low on energy and still interviewing people, I blacked out. But I didn't care. At that point it was so exciting that I just didn't care. In fact, we crossed Kharagpur also. Some of the juniors, I had put out this Facebook call that our throats are slightly you know out of place. Please get us some good food. So people brought food from Arabian Nights, Break and Bite. Uh, some junior brought a lot of bananas. He got so many bananas that people in the compartment thought they were gonna sell them. So, so we got a lot of food from our Kharagpur juniors. So there's so many stories to tell, but it was deeply effective, I think. And if you see the film, the kind of conversations that happened finally, it really opened up my eyes to a lot of realities in India. If it is about gender or nationalism or poverty, whatever you say, I wasn't really aware of anything. So I was just listening. I was like, okay, India is pretty complicated, not so simple. So it allowed me to understand, I think, those notions better. The film is available on YouTube. Hope like, you can watch it and then you'll understand hopefully.
Yeah, from your words we can understand like how much amazing that journey or that experience while directing the film has been, and see your hard work. As you said, there was so much of hard work you have put into it even after your throat was getting choked, and that has definitely paid off in such a amazing way to you, and kudos for you and your entire team for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, so but like like for each film, it is often seen that directors have like very different kinds of expectations. So is it kind of the same for you, or like you always have some one particular message which you want to propagate through your work, or it is just like what you're seeing as in a way of portraying the reality as it is?
So, see, as someone who deeply engages with documentaries and reality, reality as it is a very constructed notion. Reality is never as it is. If, for example, today our country is divided on topics like CA, NRC, farmers protest, and we're all fighting on Facebook with so many people. So if you give the same people, two different people cameras, they're gonna make very different things out of that reality. So I have my own subjective lens. My lens is of inclusivity. I'm a very I think open-minded person in with respect to we need to give space to a variety of voices. I'm not for any kind of I don't believe in uniformity. Like I think the beauty of India is in its diversity. So I am a person who loves to portray that diversity. So in Unreserved, I've done tried to do that. Even in Borderlands, we've gone to different border areas. The film has 5 languages. So we've tried to capture that complexity of India in certain ways. That is something I deeply love portraying. What does it mean to be an Indian? Is India a monolith, or is India a rainbow? So that is something I like to talk about. The second thing I like to talk about is the goodness of people, I think, and goodness in terms of how many times we're just afraid of engagement, like engagement in terms of just talking to people. We are very, sometimes we are afraid, sometimes we're just full of ourselves, I feel. There's a lot of self-importance that we attach to ourselves, that we are the only people who like face emotions, and my problems are the biggest problems. So I like to break that motion also. So throughout my films, I think we explore different identities and different ways in which people go through different problems, and most importantly, how do people deal with it. I believe in the fact that all of us are looking for happiness, no matter at what stage we are. Maybe we are totally broken and sad, but we still, there's some hope which is sort of carrying us forward. And that's how India lives, right? We are a third world country, and slightly, I think falling down the ladders on many metrics. Hunger index is something that we've, I think, fallen below Pakistan, Bangladesh, or whatever. But a lot of Indians are still happy, right? People in general are happy. So I like, even if things are very bad, I like to capture that happiness and hope. So these are the themes which I like to talk about: diversity, hope, uh, no binary things. Black and white कुछ नहीं होता है. Reality is very grey. That's something I like to talk about. Yeah.
It's so beautiful to hear that that you are actually going so much non-mainstream and trying to focus on the diversity of India and portraying it in a great way. That is like really something very much out of the box, and it's very interesting to listen to it as well. So in spite of you be doing such great work and all, but still we do hear that people who are actually from a non-film background find it difficult to survive in this industry, or maybe to reach out to audience because of things maybe present inside the industry. So like, what are your views on it? Have you like gone through any such kind of discrimination or any things in that sort? If you would
This,
like to share your
this
experience.
discrimination in terms of what? People who come, who are from what kind of background?
From a non-film background, like
Non-film
not
background.
having
Okay.
any kind of it's previously set up support in the film industry itself, like the
So I
family
think,
people
yeah, so
also.
I think that's a very important question. I think that's true for Bollywood. But since we work in independent films and independent film industries, and India has many independent film industries. Bollywood is just one strand of cinema, right? India has so much regional cinema. A lot of people make films which come out and in film festivals. They don't necessarily come out on Netflix or Amazon Prime. These film industries don't operate on very set notions of who's your father, are you connected to someone, can you like put in money into your own film. That is Bollywood, right? And maybe mainstream industry, which is I think more nepotistic. There's more nepotism there in terms of who will get an opportunity. Like Rohit Shetty might come and say, okay, Sara Ali Khan had to struggle a lot, she had to come to my office and beg for a role. So that's not struggle, right? But that usually independent films में नहीं होता है, because those people don't even want to make independent films. They want to make their own like whole like 20 crore film which will make 100 crore rupees, right? So independent films work on I think different metrics, but like I said, having that initial buffer to take a risk I think is important. I think that would be the only struggle that someone from a non-film industry, if they're also not at least from a family which can afford for them to risk becoming a filmmaker, then it might be a complexity. But once you are into the industry, I think within 6 years I know almost every important documentary filmmaker in India. I've met them. Most of the independent fiction filmmaker, I've met them. I've gone to most of the platforms that you could go as an independent Indian filmmaker. I've never faced a problem or anyone saying you're not from a film background. In fact, not only am I not from a film background, I have not even studied films. Like there are people who are not from a film background and then go to film schools, and then I think the idea becomes, are you open to collaborations? Because there is definitely, for example, if you go to the startup world, everyone wants to invest on the brand value of IITs and IIMs, right? As soon as you have an IIT or IIM grad, like your valuation will have like I don't know million or billion of dollars, right? Which will get added. As a filmmaking team, it many times helps to have someone who studied film, but you don't need to be that person. You can, for example, my editor went to an FTI, so just having him in my team is a big plus, because when I tell people, okay, there's an FTI graduate who's editing the film, they trust कि okay, something good will come out, right? If I told them कि only IITians are editing this film, they are only making this film, even then it can obviously be good, but just having that FTI name helps, and which is I think the politics of every space, right? You want some specialists, so I don't think that is very much. It doesn't work against me. In fact, it pushes me to work with good people. So that is my feeling about the industry I work in.
Mhm. This is definitely going to motivate a lot of people who might have been getting a bit questioned and doubtful that whether to go or not, because we all have this in our mind that Bollywood is nepotistic. It does not actually support new or fresh talent and all that. So like saying this, that yes, that there are opportunities, there are scopes where we can still excel, is a very good thing to motivate people who actually go. And I think that this will definitely help a lot of them. So, somewhat like, what are at present, like what are now your future plans after achieving so much, doing such great work? So, what are you looking forward to next after this?
So one of the things I'm really looking forward to is bringing our current film to India. We've been actively working on that for almost 1 year. So India has some 2 3 very good festivals, which are where a lot of good Indian films premiere. One of them is the Mumbai Film Festival. So Mumbai Film Festival unfortunately is gotten postponed. It will happen March next year. It's called Mami, like it's actually one of India's best festivals. So I think Deepika Padukone used to be the chairperson, and I think now it's Katrina Kaif. So this is actually an event which is sometimes strong by Bollywood people. So my current film will screen there in March next year, and there's this other festival called Dharamshala International Film Festival, which is happening online next month. So our film is finally coming to India. So I am excited about just making sure our film gets seen widely. So the next, I think 6 to 8 months are just going to be about how much widely can we screen our film in India. And the second thing I've been really up to is creating these workshop experiences of variety. Like I use documentaries to do different things. Like recently with IIT Bombay, we created a program where they have a Center for Policy Studies. So in India, I think one of the problems is that policy advocacy doesn't happen through stories. So together with them, we created this program where they could talk to their ministers or people who actually affect legislative change through films. So that's a program that we created. So I'm very interested in creating these experiences using documentary films. Like one of the programs I created was around gender sensitivity through documentaries. So that is something again, one of the Kharagpur graduates who was my associate director on Borderlands. Her name is Nupur Agarwal. So we've started that. I think it's called Beyond Borders. So it's mostly based on creating these classroom experiences with colleges, centers, on how they can use non-fiction media or real stories to reach somewhere. And yes, there are ideas in works. I'm working on my next film. It's very hazy right now, but themes I'm interested in. There are certain themes I'm interested in. For example, mental health is something that deeply interests me. Elections interest me. So maybe a mix of mental health and elections. It's still cooking in my mind. So let's see where it goes. So those are the things which I am excited about for at least the next 2 to 3 years.
We wish you all the very best for whatever you do in your next ventures.
Yeah.
So, as we are like moving on to the end of our interview, I would like to ask you what suggestions and advice you would like to give to the students who want to pursue this career in an unconventional field, or maybe in your field or any other field. Please guide them.
So I think, it's been a recurring theme throughout our conversation. Be aware of your privileges. How much risk can you take? Not everyone can take the same amount of risk. Sometimes, unfortunately, we have to make peace with our conditions. So, sometimes those hard calls need to be taken. At the same time, if you're someone who can take that risk, why are you holding back? I don't understand it, right? There's so many people to whom I've talked about this that it's worth it. You don't want to be this 60-year-old grumpy person sitting in your bed and thinking, why did I not do that? So try it out. Maybe it'll not work out, but you have the whole IIT community, fraternity, whatever you call it. They are behind you, and people are going to support you. Second thing is that unfortunately, you call it rat race or whatever. It's also a reality, but I think it's important to understand that we need to sometimes create personal boundaries. That it's okay. If you're not earning 25 lakhs and if you're earning 17 lakhs, your life is not going to come to an end. If you get into that mindset, it's never ending, right? Then you're directly competing with Mukesh Ambani. So good luck reaching there. So draw your personal boundaries. Where do you want to put a stop to this? And this is also, now that it's been 7 years since we graduated, a lot of us have touched 30. So I meet a lot of friends, and I think they are also realizing the importance of setting this boundary. Where do you draw this line where you want to start focusing on your relationships, your parents, your partners, your friends, compared to dedicatedly just focusing on increasing that number, right? So you need to. It is something personal. You need to personally decide what boundaries you want to draw, and it's okay to draw those boundaries. And third thing is, I think, be comfortable failing. Failing is the only way that you'll ever succeed. Uh, it's probably it can't be oversaid enough. If my film goes to even within my field also, although I still continue making films, but if you look at my film, once it's made, I send it to film festivals for screening, and many other places. We also try and do obviously we try and put it on TV and everything. Unreserved also came on TV. But film festivals, I love film festivals because they are the place where a lot of independent filmmakers get to voice out their works in the rawest form possible. So even to get through 10 festivals, I receive 100 rejections. which is almost like your FT experience repeated, right? Because we write 200 emails and 20 professors reply, and two people are gonna say, okay, yes, and one person is finally gonna say, okay, I'll also pay you a stipend, right? And I've also gone through that process. Many of you will go through that process. So failure is inherent. Even if you don't follow an unconventional path, failure is gonna happen. Your every presentation is not gonna go well. So learn to fail. Learn to cry. Also, I think it's very important. Many of the times we are taught, at least men, men are not supposed to cry, and all those stereotypes are there. I think it's nice to cry, cry it out. You'll feel light and you'll move on. So these three, four things are very, I think, important. Don't take yourself so seriously. Um, we're all in the long run, we're all dead. Adam Smith said it. A lot of you are going to get into economics. So Adam Smith is like the father of a lot of economics. So remember, just accept human finitude, enjoy life, and find your own happiness. That's, I think, the only thing I was there.
Thank you so much, Samad. This was a really, a very beautiful message to pass on. And I hope everyone who will be listening to this will definitely learn a lot from you, from your words. And I hope that they all find the way, the career they want to reshape, just like you have done it. Thank you so much for spending time with us for this interview. It was really great talking to you, to getting to know you, your journey. It was really amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anushka. I had a lovely time talking to you. I hope we can also do this physically on campus someday, and I hope I can catch up with all of you. The team at Awaz and the wider KGP community. So see you, all the best, and thank you, Anushka, for the lovely conversation.